Hey everyone, so I'm extremely excited today. New gear came in the past couple of days, so let me get this unstacked. I'm going to do a quick open box on some of it, first impressions. The Edelkrone stuff I'm going to do in a separate video, so we should be good there. I would normally have a dual cam review on this guy, but unloaded my Panasonic G7, and I'll be using my G85 as my B cam or vlogging cam going forward, but the reason for that, GH5 came in, so let's get started. Alright, the Edelkrone stuff I'm moving to the back. I got the SliderOne with the motion module as well as the Flex Tilt version 2 head, so that's going to be pretty dope once I get that set up. And again, I'll do that in a separate video and then go on to the reviews and whatnot. Picked up some extra batteries, always good to have. I did order one genuine Panasonic battery. I always like to have one redundant of name brand, but the thing with that is you're going to spend 50 plus bucks for the Panasonic brand, and then what you're going to get is one battery, where you can go on Amazon, get some of this Wasabi Power or Rav Power, which are two brands I recommend. Got the dual pack of batteries plus the charger for 30 bucks, so you can't really beat that. Let's get into this. This isn't a separate accessory I got, and it's actually quite a few accessories. So it's a super clamp, one, which is down here. These things are great. You can clamp them on anywhere. They're super strong. And I'll show you a little photo here of how I have my B camera set up with a separate control arm. But then I also got this extension here. And the cool thing about this is it goes in and out, and you can basically place it however you want. And then I also added this mount plate at the end. The reason I did all of that is my goal is to actually do some time lapse with the SliderOne of some of the woodworking stuff I do. And so with this clamp and this setup, which is going to be pretty awesome, in my garage I'm going to have the ability to clamp this on, you know, one of my shelves or some of the conduit that's running through my garage, and be able to mount the, well, I can't really see it there, but be able to mount the SliderOne unit with my camera from above and do a little time lapse of some of the stuff I'm building. That's comprised of some impact super clamps. It's all impact parts, super clamps, that extension arm, and then it's a Kupo mounting plate. So that's what that stuff is. Now moving on to the good stuff. Picked up the lens here, and we'll do that one first before we get to the GH5. Picked up the version 2 of the 35-100. I did have this lens in the version 1. Really loved it. Absolutely loved it. The reason I replaced it is the version 1 lens is dual IS with an upgrade, but it's not dual IS-II, which is a more advanced version to combine the in-body image stabilization with your Panasonic cameras as well as with the lens. The reason I only got the 35-100 in the version 2 is at that longer telephoto, the image stabilization is a lot more important due to the vibration or shaking being a little more multiplied, whereas I kept my Gen 1 12-35 because it's a rock solid lens. It's still going to have dual IBIS, it's just not going to be that version 2, and it's still going to kick ass. So I'll keep this out for comparison's sake. In here is your pouch. That really hasn't changed. That's going to be standard. Let's look at the lens. Size-wise, it hasn't gotten any bigger. It stayed at that 58mm on the front as far as the glass goes. Now, one thing I can tell you, I am super excited that they kept the same texture of the grip here. Reason being is I've used this in 0-degree temperatures in Colorado when I was in Boulder, as well as, or the previous model I should say, as well as some other hot and humid days here in Houston, and this rubber texture is perfect. They did increase the knurling. Feels a little different than the previous versions on this front ring here, but super smooth. I'd say it's on par, very comparable with the Gen 1 type of lens, and they retain the power OIS switch. As far as the front end, you know, nothing too crazy here. A lot of the changes are going to be made on some of the glass as far as the sets inside, and then the blade shape of the aperture is a little different. The hood, it's not one of the Leica lenses, and because of that, It's not going to have that lock on there that I like so much on the 12-60. However, it is the same traditional bell shape that the previous gen had. So that's something you can count on. And then you can see that it's in that black matte as opposed to what was originally pictured as black on the Gen 1s, but with the anodizing turned into a little bit more of a midnight blue. So there are those guys. Nothing too shocking on the lens situation there. One of the reasons that I am so excited for this camera is the small increases they made. So a lot of people have complaints or misconceptions on Micro Four Thirds cameras in the sense that they think they can't produce the images they want. Well, you can do wildlife with these. You can do quite a bit as far as, you know, bokeh, whatever you'd like on shallow depth of field with a lot of the prime lenses, or using that 35 to 100 effectively. Especially with the G85 and 4, because they got that anti-aliasing filter out of the camera, which leads to clearer resolution. But one of the things that's a big step up here is we will see noticeable low light improvement in the GH5, as well as a larger megapixel count. So with a 20 megapixel count on this Micro Four Thirds sensor, that is a considerable jump. I mean, it's up 25% from the G85. And so in the box, aside from the manuals you just saw, here's the camera, but we'll get back to that. You've got a GH5 strap that'll stay in this plastic until the day I die, or I decide to sell this, probably around when the GH7 comes out due to my hand-me-down process. So charging cables, which is pretty cool here because they give you the charger, or the charging cable itself, the battery cradle, and it did retain the same battery as the GH4. There's your included battery. This is a pretty cool accessory here. So what this is this is a little caddy, and what it does is it has a mount and it screws into the side of the GH5, and it's a protector and holds your HDMI cable and other cables in so they don't get bent or twist or mess with the ports on the side of the camera. So that's really innovative that they thought of that. But again, getting back to the charging cable, you have a USB Type-C transfer cable. Unfortunately, the current software in here does not allow power to run through this to the camera, so it's only for image transfer and data. But you do have, like I said, your traditional battery charger here. And now that I went back through the origami-like process to assemble the box, it's got a few more flaps than I remember. And here it is. And I actually, just grabbing it out of the little pouch there itself, I absolutely love the weight of this. So the weight of this is not going to be on par with like a 5D Mark IV or any other Canon full-frame body. It'll probably be a little bigger than maybe some of the Sony cameras, but it has a good weight to it. I enjoy the ergonomics of Panasonic cameras infinitely better than especially the others that are out on the market. Having the G85 be a little brother to this is going to be an exceptional value for me. The reason I say that is because it's going to follow along the same ergonomics as the GH5 with some slight different orientation in some of the buttons. But the reason that's big for me is I don't have to rely and treat it like a rangefinder camera. That's really where I had an issue or two with the Sony a6500. Love the camera. Definitely some differences in user experience. Where that was not as functional on the touchscreen, did not have the same experience on the Wi-Fi application. However, this guy is amazing right now in my hand. I can tell you it's got a nice heft to it. It fits the hand, so I have a little bit larger hand here. It's not too big for my hand, which means it's probably about right for most people, and for me it's a great fit. The ergonomics and layout of the joystick is going to be exceptionally well placed. The strap hangers are bigger, thank you. So the nice thing about that is you can fit a little wider strap in there if you do use it. I use the Peak Design attachments, but this will allow me to attach my hand strap along with one of their quick disconnects, which is going to be pretty awesome. And you'll probably have seen, but I will roll in close-ups of all of this since I don't have a B-roll going. But again, you've got the same ergonomic flippy screen. I just can't get over how awesome this build quality is. Now, some of the things you're going to notice that are differences are going to be on the bottom here. If you wanted to run constant power, there's a little rubber flap for the cord to come out. You know, there's little things like that that just seem like they've thought of everything, as well as a little rubber cover for when you have the battery grip. But I can tell you the more pronounced size is really exciting. I'm really looking forward to the different modes on here. But again, initial impressions, the metal knob upgrade for the different modes and your different drive modes over here is really a great texture. You also have a lock if you wanted to lock it in a mode. So if you are out in, you know, the wilderness or somewhere sweaty or riding a bike or whatever, that's a good way to keep it locked down. Your button layout on the top here is pretty nice because you have dedicated buttons. With the G85 being a more compact camera, the dedicated buttons are a little tougher just because of the fact that it's a smaller body, so they don't have the surface area for it, so they double up the direction pad in the back. Where with this guy, you've got dedicated buttons on the top here for ISO, white balance, exposure correction, and then you still have your front and rear dials here to adjust your aperture and shutter speed. So this thing is completely dope. I cannot wait to get results out of it. I'm going to shoot you straight because I'm not just a video guy, so I'm going to be hitting you with photography, night shots, low light shots, action shots, wildlife shots, and the whole premise is to really get into that, you know, not just text spewing, but the regular stuff for the regular consumer, for the regular guys and gals out there who aren't going to be as enamored with tech specs, but the results and how it applies to them. So I'm a big proponent of how things apply to the end user. One of my other favorite features on here, which again was a slight issue with the Sony a6500, was underneath they had the memory card in with the battery door. On the latest versions of the Panasonic cameras after the G7, you won't have that, so the G85, GH5 don't have that. You have the memory card slot on the sidewall here, and this one actually has a dual memory card slot. So super pumped about this because you can differentiate if you want photo or video going to one card. You can have it extend, so if you have a memory card that you think might run over, even though it's a higher quality memory card, you can have a backup in there so it can go from one to the next continuously, and you can hot swap. So if you're recording on one, it rolls over to memory card 2. You can actually hot swap, pull out memory card 1 while it's recording to 2 and put another one in without any interruption. So that's pretty nice. I do like that the remote has a separate plug-in up here. Ergonomically, that's a little better because it's not next to your microphone jack and your headphone jack, so everything's a little more spread out as far as connection goes to the camera. And I think one thing that's pretty cool is Panasonic had quite a few of the manufacturers that are already getting cages out and some other accessories to go with it. So outside of this, probably the only other thing I'm going to get for it immediately is going to be just a screen protector for the back here. Don't really need the mic input just yet, the XLR mic input or the battery grip just yet. I'm going to knock this out first. But getting back to the charger here, one thing I want to touch on is it does not have an outlet in the back of the charger like the G85 does. You have to have this cord with you, which is a bummer. I hate having to carry both of those. So one thing I recommend is pick up that Wasabi Power battery and charger. It's a 2-pack and you get this charger. One, the size, the surface area is much smaller. But two, the cool thing is it is micro USB. So if you are out and you want to charge your batteries from a power bank, you can. If you want to charge your batteries from a laptop, you can. And you're not having to necessarily take this big hefty cable with you. You can use your cell phone charger or another small charger you may have with you in conjunction with this charging plate. So one thing I definitely recommend. Hope you enjoyed this unboxing. Definitely get a hold of me with any questions. I've got several lens reviews coming out. All the lens reviews were shot on my G85, which is shooting this right now, 4K. But most of those reviews will apply to this, and I expect even better results. So thanks for watching. Remember to subscribe, check out my other social media, like these videos, definitely share, and as I start to implement some affiliate links, click on those. Even if it's Amazon and you click on my link, go to buy dish soap, every little bit helps. So it's a couple %, but it helps funding the gear and it helps funding the time away from doing some other things to crank out these videos. So thanks, I appreciate you guys, keep watching.